This is Desiree Dubonnet. Just wanted to tell you, you see, we're not as young as we used to be. In fact, now we're more Jungian than ever. Carl Jung gave us a gift of understanding of the basic archetypal images inside humans. In 5th grade, we're taught that the body's made of atoms with electrons in the outer energy shells. And how many electrons? Vast quantity, almost unimaginable number of electrons just in one human body. And that the electron is not a fundamental particle. So we're able to prove that the universe is infinity to the power of infinity. And when we get inside these atoms, electrons never touch, they repel. No atom touches any other. And the electrons and the particles are so incredibly tiny, and E equals mc squared, so their energy as well. And the atom is such an incredible amount of empty space. It's energy, but it's empty space. If you remove the empty space from the atoms of all the people in the world, the entire human race would fit into a sugar cube. And what we do know that does touch is photons, light particles, because the light touches the electrons through emission and absorption. So thereby we are all of light. We are photonic energy beings. And because of this, we need to recognize the vast quantity. And we now proved through quantum entwinement that we are all connected. And that there's good and bad energy, hot and cold, and all this different type of diversity that comes out of the world. This incredible diversity of what we are as human beings. And as we interact with each other. And basically, there's different energies that form. Different type of archetypal energies. Ideas of who and what we are that have been made over the years. And some of these choices of who we become come to us from the nature of our own genetic and epigenetic structure. And some of these choices come from nurture, come from the forces of the environment around us that mold and shape us into who and what we are. But there's incredible diversity in the energy of the human being. And we're going to be studying about the archetypal energies and how it is wrong for people to try to impress their views on another. And that truly the greatest problem that could ever come out is extremism. We should never try to be extremist. We should try to embrace the diversity and the choice of the other people around us. Now we need to start talking about the born innate instincts that humans have. And basically there are some instincts that are very important, whether we care for others, things about right or wrong. These are very, very important. We need to understand the ideas and the extremities of these ideas. You see, human emotions and behavior will vary between the extremes of belief and actions. We could basically see how humans can have polarities. And we could see these fluctuations of emotions and actions as if they were on a gauge. If we can imagine like a gauge, to the left, to the right, to extremes of one side or the other. You could have an extreme to one side, or there could be an extreme to the other side, completely different type of behavior. This is what we're going to be studying and trying to encourage people to be down the middle and to have little fluctuations and not to be extremists. Because we are beings of consciousness, and as we take consciousness, we decide whether we're going to care for other people or just care for ourselves. Now, this is a choice, and people will say, well, it's good karma, you get back what you give to others. But you see, all of this happens, and there's a nature and nurture that influences this. Now, basically, what we know is one person in 20 is a psychopath, and one person in 20 is a hero who will fight and give up his life for others. And the rest of the people are just kind of go along to get along. And basically, we need to understand some of the ideas. Now, as we explore this, we need to understand what is a psychopath, because we need to be able to be prepared that the psychopath doesn't hurt us. Now, most of psychopathology happens because of nurture, influence. You see, because 7 to 10% of the people everywhere are born left-handed. It's called cross-preference. The choice is in the brain, not in the hand. And 7 to 10% of the people of the world have cross-sexual, and the choice is in their brain, not in their gonads, not in their penis, not in the little head. 7 to 10% are cross-preference, but only 2% of them live it. That means there's 5% or so that actually suppress it. They have it, they have the cross-preference, they suppress it, they repress it. This leads them to become psychopaths. As they suppress feelings of their own self, they then learn to suppress feelings towards others. So now they have, through nurture, through behavior, become psychopaths because they cannot deal with their own self. So now this is happening. Now we take a look at this picture here, which is an absurdity. This lady wants us to destroy all of our computers because the computer was invented by a gay guy. Now who else would come up with such an idea unless of somebody struggling with their own identity? So we have to recognize that some of psychopathology happens through learned behavior, behavioral theory, and we call that the nurture. But then some of it is from nature, because Carl Jung talked to us about the archetypes, and he said that these archetypes were from an unconscious force deep within, the collective unconscious, and it wasn't genetic, it was what he called epigenetic. So now let's take a look back at the idea, and first, let's explore ideas of the caregiver. The caregiver protects people from harm. The basic idea of the person who tries to protect those around them. The caregiver that in the face of adversity will make sacrifices and give care to help others.
Let us all together.
Here's Mother Teresa, probably our best example
for this beautiful
of
occasion,
the life of a caregiver, who
where
gave
we can
everything
all together
of her own
proclaim
life, sacrificed her entire
the
own life,
joy
so that she could help
of
care
speaking
for
peace.
others. She won the Nobel Prize
The
just
joy
by the force of
of loving one
compassion,
another,
of her caring for others.
and the joy acknowledging that the poorest of the poor are our brothers and sisters.
If someone prays for patience, you think God gives them patience? Or does he give them the opportunity to be patient? If they prayed for courage, does God give them courage, or does he give them opportunities to be courageous?
And God has given us all the opportunity to be caregivers, to care and to share.
If someone prayed for the family to be closer, do you think God zaps them with warm, fuzzy feelings? Or does he give them opportunities to love each other? Well, I gotta run.
We need the instinct for it to be the caregiver. We need to take care of the family. And some people, it surrounds more than just the family. It goes into other people. But basic instinct to provide care for self and for family is very, very important. And I thought I'd put this in about Mother Teresa because it is a little bit funny. A little idea about her in a comical movie. But basically I want to get across the point that we need to have the caregiver. It's a basic instinct. And some people are very deep in this, and some people aren't. Back to our idea of the gauge, if we are one side or the other. Because you see certain people on the opposite of this, they don't care about other people. And they're kind of rebellious youth.
I don't know.
Here we have rebel without a cause.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Why should you be the only one involved?
Well,
It just doesn't matter type of idea. We have this idea of the rebellious youth. And sometimes it goes even further, that they can rebel not just about being young without a cause, but also basically growing up, sharing, caring, and recognizing, trying to develop their own personality, these type of things. So sometimes they can get lost. But the rebel, the basic rebel inside from the archetype is a little different. Sometimes the rebel was out for revenge. Sometimes the rebel was out for crazy revolution. Maybe goes a little too far, but all back to our ideas of the extremes. So sometimes you can be extreme in the rebellion, extreme in the forces, and then extremity is always being wrong.
And Mrs. Gray there comes up and propositions me. If I come home with her for $5, she'll put on an exhibition with a Shetland pony.
If this is your idea of humor, Inspector.
All right, what are you trying to do here, Callahan?
Going too far? Well, I don't know. Listen a little more, you be the judge.
I'm just trying to find out if anybody in this room knows what the hell law is being broken besides cruelty to animals.
That's a conspiracy under Title 7, Section 182, Paragraph 1 of the California State Penal Code. A conspiracy to commit a misdemeanor is, in fact, a felony. And according to People versus Bashor, 1965...
Yes, that's right.
It's easy for the rebel to go too far. Be sorry about what he did later. But you see, we have to understand the ideas, that these are archetypal ideas that can come to us through the unconscious. Everybody has a little bit of the rebel in them. Nobody can have absolutely none. And some people suppress it. I'm sure even Mother Teresa had a little bit of rebel inside her. It was probably rebellious for her to even be who she was. But we have to understand that these forces need to be controlled. And that if they're out of control, people can get hurt. Things can happen that we don't really want to happen. So people need to understand and wake up to the forces. And now if we look at the other side of the rebel, let's look at the ideas of the hero. We have, of course, the hero, the great grand hero, who will sacrifice himself. Beyond just giving care, this is going to take up arms and fight against evil. The hero will fight. There's a hero inside all of us. Everyone has a little bit of hero inside. And basically, I think that we talk about the idea of what we see on television with the superheroes, etc. And why does this seem to capture our attention so much? Well, it's because inside us, there is secret identities. We have archetypal images inside, whether we're the hero, or whether we're the caregiver, or the magician, or the saint, or the ruler. All these different ideas that Carl Jung put forth, these things happen inside us. And that they really do, because we all do have a secret identity that we very seldom show to others. And that the idea happens forces from nature and from nurture. Yes, the behavior around us strongly influences and shapes who we are, and can produce a type of place and time where we can react to something where we didn't think we could be that person. We didn't think we could do that. We didn't know that there was a hero inside that could do things. We didn't know these things. We didn't know the forces. We didn't know that there was an evil force inside. We didn't know these things because these things happen not just from nurture, but also from inside the ideas of the archetypes, from that collective unconscious. And all of that comes together to help to understand and produce us for who and what we are. Now here I'm Desiree, and I've been fighting against the forces of the evil ultra-rich. And basically this is who I identify with, the hero. Strong force in there. A strong force for me to fight against the greedy, evil ultra-rich. And basically through the movies and through the TV shows and the science, to be able to help bring a new idea to the world. A new idea about how we can grow and share and care and dare. So these ideas come within me. And not everybody has these ideas. Not everybody has the idea to fight. Some people run and hide. Some people are like deer in the headlights. They freeze. They do this to increase their probability of survival by freezing when there's problems. Others are heroes. Now the basic problem is that the hero shouldn't try to make everybody a hero, and the freezer should not try to make everybody a freezer. People need to recognize what's happening within and allow modulating of these things through the body, through the mind, okay? But then also be able to recognize inside, control those forces. Keeping an open mind to allow the right time, the right place, and hope that you make the right decision, because not all decisions are correct. But recognizing that inside we do have these forces from their deep unconscious. This allows us to watch a movie, to then identify with the heroes that we see, and be able to find ways to touch the hearts of people through storytelling. And these are some of the ideas. And the hero is a great storyteller. If you want to tell a story, you always need a hero. You need a heroine. You need a romance idea. You need to capture these things before you start bringing in the other types of archetypes. And speaking about other types of archetypes, let's go back to our idea and recognize that the opposite of the hero is the outlaw, the person who is outside the law.
I'm looking for Josie Wales. You're wanted, Wales.
I reckon I'm right popular. You a bounty hunter?
Yeah, he's got to do something for a living these days.
Dying ain't much of a living, boy.
The outlaw is needed in our archetypal ideas to capture the idea of fighting for truth against the forces. Because yes, there is an evil ultra-rich, there are psychopaths, there is an evil that people will need to fight for. And sometimes they have to go outside the law. And then certain times
I had to come back.
they're outside the law
I know.
because that's just what they are. They're just that type of person, bent on the evil, bent on the destructive. So we have to recognize more ideas about that the outlaw is a bad guy.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 6 shots or only 5? Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Some people see Dirty Harry as a bad guy, I don't know, but the evil Big Oil definitely is a bad guy.
I'm an oil
See, we have a problem today with our world, and that evil Big Oil is perhaps resorting in the extinction of the human race. We have to recognize that this evil Big Oil is really jeopardizing our future. We need to find our fuel, not just fossil fuel. And we need to recognize more about this because what is happening today. And what is the source? Well, you see, Big Oil, all the different criminals are invested so heavily into Big Oil, and they've taken over the media. They tell the media what to do. They literally threaten lives to make sure that they get their message across. And the message of these criminals, these evil ultra-rich, is don't stop fossil fuel. They make way too much money selling, distributing, and investing in it. So we need to be able to face the good guy, the bad guy, the outlaw, the hero, the caregiver, the rebel. We need to embrace all of these things inside ourselves. We recognize that those archetypal images can be present.
We're not going to sing again, are we?
And as we find our own secret identity, we find our own true nature, the superpowers that we have within, based on our archetypes, based on our nature, based on our nurture, that is coming to produce who and what we are. And as we live, we grow. And as we grow, we start to develop. And we all need to look at these basic instincts. Now, I've covered number 1 and 2 in this area, and now I will do 3 and 4 in the next episode.